All right. We are live with Mr. Jack Zagunis from Roddy's Foreclosure Listing Service. How are you doing, Jack?
Yes, I'm excited. I'm pumped. Let's do this webinar.
Woo! Man, you bring the energy. I don't think I can match it.
I'll carry you, baby. I'll carry you.
All right. Let's we're gonna give everybody a couple minutes to get in. Looks like we've got a couple of people joining right now. We'll make sure that we're live on Facebook and YouTube.
See it on Facebook. I'm going to resend out the email.
We got Donna, Jerry.
And yeah, this is going to be a good one. Thanks for tuning in, those of you on already. And we'll get started right away here. All right, resent it.
There we go. We got Zach, Donna, Jerry, Kim, Sheila. We are rocking it. Okay. All right. Well,
got it. All right.
You send it?
Everything's good.
All right. Let's get started. Let's dive into this. I think we're going to be pushing the 45-minute time limit today, so might as well just dive in now. Everybody, thanks for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about buying properties before the auction. So really, we typically deal with two realms of buying real estate investments. Right? You hear us a lot talking about foreclosures and purchasing foreclosures at the auction, and we deal a lot with the auction. We have teams at the auctions. That's kind of what we revolve around, is the foreclosure auction, the first Tuesday of every month. But the other way to buy real estate is before the auction. So actually, up until the auction, you can buy properties from homeowners just like you normally would with a normal real estate transaction. So today, Jack and I are going to talk about all sorts of things with buying properties before the auction and after the auction. Or if somebody isn't going to auction, we're just going to talk about buying properties not at the courthouse steps. So we'll dive in. Just before we get started, I'm Curtis Roddy. I'm the CEO of Roddy's Foreclosure Listing Service. If you haven't heard of Roddy's, then I don't know why you're watching this. But if Roddy's has been providing real estate investment data for the Texas real estate market since 1963. So I've been around it. My dad started the company in the 60s. And I've been around it since I was in diapers. So love real estate, love buying foreclosures, love investing. We're still active real estate investor. And then we've got Jack Zagunis, who brings the energy to all of our webinars, and when he's talking to our customers, he's the VP of member success here at Roddy's. So Jack, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can help investors out, whether they're realtors asking for realtor services or they're investors. Really, those are the two types of people we have. As far as other services that people come to us with, there's bankers who come to us to make sure their loans are being protected. I've been able to help them out pretty well. And then title companies coming to verify that the loans that they're underwriting, that the titles that they're doing their preliminary title searches on are not in foreclosure. And so those are the four types of people that come to us, and I'm able to help with all of them. And we even have one person up in Dallas that's looking for a new church building for their company. So
Wow.
All types of people been able to help get their properties, and you just have to call me.
Awesome. So yeah, and just if you ever want to get in touch with Jack or really anybody at the Roddy's team, go to our website, flsonline.com. We've got a chat window in the bottom right-hand corner. You can also call Jack at 972-250-0993, and I can guarantee you he will be able to help you. It's a strong promise, Jack. You got to live up to it. All right. So just kind of going into what we're going to talk about today, we'll start the webinar just talking about the state of the Texas real estate market, a quick overview of where we're at. It's been a crazy 6 months, Jack. I mean, I think in March we thought the real estate market was going to tank, or we were at least going to see a depression in the housing activity, and obviously it's been a lot different. So we're going to talk briefly about that. That's not really the purpose of this webinar, and then we'll dive into really buying real estate before the foreclosure auction. So again, you can buy real estate anytime. You can invest in real estate anytime, but our leads particularly revolve around the foreclosure process. So we'll talk a lot about using those leads, getting the list, and then buying properties before the auction. Trying to figure out what type of leads are for you. We're going to talk about analyzing the deals, marketing. Jack is a marketing guru, so he's going to dive into finding deals, analyzing deals, and underwriting them. And then we'll talk a little bit about some of these solutions that Roddy's can provide for you. So real quick, I just we'll talk about kind of what's going on in the housing market right now in Texas. So all this data is public data. It's from Texas A&M's Real Estate Center. If we just look at kind of what's going on here, this is a graph of the number of sales in each of the MSAs or counties. And so really what you're seeing across the board in all of our major metro areas are, year over year sales are still much higher than they were in 2019 and 2018. So we still see good, healthy growth. And then we're also seeing month over month growth. So Dallas County, Tarrant County, we're seeing Tarrant County's got, when we look at year over year, we're up 10% there. Travis County is year over year again, incredible sales. I think in Travis County right now, we're in the ones for the months of inventory there. And so we've got about 1 month of inventory in Travis County, but we still got a lot of real estate activity. If you look though, month over month, we're starting to see a little bit of a slowdown in Travis County, and which is to be expected, right? We have the peaks in July. So Travis County, Tarrant County, we're starting to see a little bit of decrease in activity. Bear County, again, is up year over year. Harris County looks like it's right about even. And then El Paso is just booming, right? I think El Paso typically hovers around 7 months of inventory in that MSA. And right now they're in the high ones. So some interesting stats if you kind of look around just some of the, if you look in some of the other areas though, like Corpus Christi or Laredo, where you're actually seeing the opposite effect. So we always advise our customers and our members to look at the kind of what that market looks like and how healthy it is before you start investing in it. So it doesn't necessarily mean that Laredo is not a great market to invest in right now. There's a lot on the market. And so that probably means that now's the time to buy. Just a year or two ago in Laredo, they had almost half the inventory on the market. So exciting times. We're still seeing this growth, year over year growth, and so no indicators right now that we're slowing down either. Jack, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, just a shout out to the Real Estate Center at Texas A&M University. Their information's free. I get a catalog from them in the mail. I'm not sure. I never signed up for anything, but I if you don't get one, it's great. I think it comes out quarterly, and their stats are unbelievable. Their quality is impressive. They're changing their name back to their original name at the end of this year to, I think it's like the Real Estate Data Research. All right, I told myself I wasn't going to move here, but they're calling themselves the Texas Real Estate Research Center again. So look them up. They're free stuff. Their website's amazing. Their magazine's great as far as tracking things of what's happening in Texas. So,
yeah, I could spend hours and hours looking at the data. The Real Estate Center. It's not just inventory, but they'll have the data for average home price. The number of transactions, all that stuff. So
yeah, they have great articles. I mean, they had a huge article about what's happening under the bridge in Corpus Christi as far as the redevelopment gets go down there. And these investors were buying up homes for like $45,000, and then just 6 months later, were able to sell them back to the government through the eminent domain for like $120,000 and not do anything to them because they were giving them way higher than the value of them. Anyway, we're
going to have a whole class on, Jack's going to teach a whole class on how to triple your money through eminent domain.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move into some of the more exciting stuff. So just quickly, just talking about different ways to invest at auction. A lot of people associate Roddy's with, the foreclosure guys, and we're the foreclosure kings in Texas. We go to all the major courthouses in the state, and we're active real estate investors at the auction. So, but what a lot of people don't know is that you can buy real estate investments other ways. So popular ways to do it are pre-foreclosure. So that's what we're going to really talk and dive into pre-foreclosure purchases today. Obviously at the auctions, and then there's after the auction, there's the REO properties. So right now banks don't have a lot of inventory because what's going to auction is getting bought at the auction. But in normal times, about 40% of what shows up to the auction actually doesn't sell, and those go back to the banks and they show up on the REO market. So that's a great way to buy. Tax sales is another great way. People buy wholesale deals. We have people send us wholesale deals all the time, and we love to look at those. That's a great way for, especially for a new investor, to purchase properties and to get in front of more deals. So you can buy wholesale deals. There's investment group like Facebook and social media pages. Those are always great resources. If you go to like Facebook and just type in like Dallas Investment Group or Dallas Investors or something like that, there's got to be 20 or 30 different Facebook groups in Dallas alone that have real estate deals that you can buy or that you can see and get in front of. And it's also a great way just to network and find vendors and stuff like that. So I think that's something that a lot of people don't think about, but Facebook investment group pages are great. We have probate leads. Roddy sells probate leads all across the state, likely to sell leads, post-bankruptcy leads. And then last but not least, we have or you can just get on the MLS, Zillow, or go to, I guess you're a realtor or something like that. So John asked, who do we contact at our company if you have a wholesale deal? So John, if you're looking for a wholesale deal, when we have wholesalers submit deals to us, we will evaluate it. If it meets our criteria, then we will send it out to our members. If you have a wholesale deal to send to us, and that you'd like us to look at or for us to send out to our members, we'll also do that. So Jack is the guy that you would contact for that. Jack, if you put your email in the comments below, but Jack will process that. We'll get it on our market book page and handle it that way. So perfect. So yeah, and guys, if you have questions, just feel free to put them in the comments. We'll answer them as they come along. Jack, anything I'm missing on this?
No, but you can really break it down into 5 different or so categories. You can buy straight from the homeowner as a distressed lead, right? You can buy it from a wholesaler who's kind of done the work for you and marked it up for a little bit. You can buy on the courthouse steps. You can buy straight from a bank, or you can buy what we call retail, which is from the MLS. And so most of those categories are just like buying straight from the homeowner. Now, where do you get the best deal? Straight from the homeowner, typically. Yeah. But what takes the most work? Straight from the homeowner, for sure. So.
Exactly. I think the easiest thing to do is to buy a wholesale deal or go to the foreclosure auction. But there's a lot more competition for those deals, especially right now, and with the low inventory in foreclosures and in general in wholesale deals. So that's the easiest way to do it. And then, like Jack said, going straight to the homeowner pre-foreclosure, that's where there's a lot more profit, but it also takes the most work, right? So really the more work that's involved and kind of the more risk associated, the more return you can get on that. Like pre-foreclosure, there's a ton of return possibility there because not a lot of people want to go knocking on doors in that narrow time frame, right? Like there's 20 days, from the time our list comes out to the time that there's the auction, and it's a pretty compressed time frame. Whereas, obviously, at the courthouse, it's a lot easier. There's all sorts of different ways to do it. So we'll move on talking about what lead type is available or is best for you. So, like we said, there's all sorts of different leads. But it can get a little bit confusing and almost overwhelming when you look at all those different ways to invest. And when we're talking about trying to help our members, find the right leads and get into that right niche, there's a couple of things that we talk about. First is capital availability, right? Most people don't start off investing in real estate with $150,000 or $200,000 in cash available to go to the courthouse. And so if you have, if you've got no money, if you've got $5,000, if you have $10,000, that would limit you to probably not going to the trustee sale and buying properties at the courthouse steps. But it still gives you the ability to kind of act as a wholesaler. You can still market to people And most people get started with in that kind of area. If you're buying properties before the auction, or if you're buying like a normal investment property, are you able to qualify for a mortgage? So if you're able to qualify for a normal 30-year Fannie Mae mortgage, obviously that helps out a lot. And then the amount of cash that you have for that down payment. And then of course, how quick can you close? So, if you're able to get a hard money loan and close in 10 days, that's great. It gives you the ability to buy properties before the auction in that short time period. If you need the traditional 30 to 60 day closing time, though, you're probably not going to be able to buy a pre-foreclosure that's for the upcoming auction. Now, we've already got a lot of properties on our list for January and February right now. So if you need that longer time frame, now's the time to start marketing to those homeowners. So, Jack, anything you can add to that?
I mean, there's 5 properties in Bell County right now for December. They're all built 2000 and newer. They're nice homes, it looks like. There's a sweet deal in McLennan County right now for January. And then 2, I didn't see what kind of deal they were for December. So, they used to be an extra service of ours, but since COVID started, we added that just for everyone. So if you have a list, you can see as far out as there's postings.
It's awesome. And then the other, we kind of talked about it in the last slide, but we said like how much time and how easy is it to get a deal, right? So if your full-time job is to be a real estate investor, you've got a lot of time to filter through lists. You can process more leads. You're probably cold calling, door knocking, that type of stuff. If you don't have time to go through lead lists, then it limits your ability to do stuff. So that kind of would limit somebody to maybe wholesale deals or going to the auction. Now, Roddy's provides a lot of that legwork for you. So if you buy the Roddy's foreclosure list, you can quickly narrow down to properties that you're looking for. We offer drives, tile review, comping. We can even go bid for you. So Roddy's can help do a lot of that stuff for you. But the time that you have available to dedicate to manipulating the leads and figuring that out is important. Then we talk about experience, right? So if I usually wouldn't advise a brand new real estate investor to go buy a property at the auction with maybe a federal tax lien on it, because it's a little bit hairier of a deal. Sometimes tax liens can be a little bit more convoluted or complicated. So we talk about experience. Anybody can invest in real estate. Jack is awesome at helping advise people on where, kind of steering them in the right direction. But if you have questions about what to look for, as far as experience, and really if you're a brand new investor, all of our lead types, we can help coach you along. Jack's a great coach. Like Jack gets super excited when our members are successful. So, and then Jack, do you want to talk about anything else you want to add to experience or returns?
Yeah, I love seeing it when people succeed. Curtis's partner, Aaron, just had an assignment for us to kind of figure out who actually bought some of these properties at auction. I was really pleased to go through all these LLC names through the Secretary of State website and find out all the people that I knew from talking to them on the phone that had actually bought properties in the last few months, because they don't call me and tell me, hey, I bought one. But I kind of in and around and found out anyway, and it was pretty cool. So, yeah,
and then kind of our last kind of lead type filter is desired return. So, are you flipping houses? Are you renting houses? Knowing what your long-term and short-term plans are really helps. So, I mean, we talk about the market right now being so hot. Flipping houses is the best way to get the highest return. You're not necessarily able to lock in that long-term cash flow. But right now, I know Aaron and I are both flipping houses instead of buying rentals. We think that if we do see the market cool off a little bit, it'll present a better time to buy rental properties and to add a better cap rate. And then obviously, the volume. If you can flip 5 houses a month, great. You probably can get by on a little bit less of a return from a cap percentage. But if you need to flip, and if you need to do this for you make $20,000 for each flip, the pickings are going to be a little bit slim. So, Jack, anything like you want to talk about? Can you talk a little bit about just the different lead types we have, and kind of talk, somebody that doesn't have a lot of capital or doesn't have a lot of time to spend on this, how would you advise somebody to get into real estate investing right now?
Well, you're going to need probably one or the other. If you don't have any capital, you're going to need some time, because it is a hard work. So I just spoke to somebody who hadn't gotten going yet. We spoke 2 weeks ago when she got the list, and then she still hadn't been out there and done anything or knocked on a door yet. And she says, are the ones for November, have they probably contacted them already? I'm like, yeah, they probably contacted them already. But we got December and we got January, so maybe we should start planning on how we're going to get out there and approach these people. If you're grinding, if you're out there and you're writing postcards, you're writing letters, if you're texting, if you're calling, if you're knocking on doors, you got to be consistent. You got to be doing it all the time. And it shocks me that somebody can, think that they are going to spend $50 on a foreclosure list and pretty easily make $5,000 to $10,000 back in returns without doing the hard work. And it does take hard work. It does take perseverance. It does take repeated actions. So
when somebody calls you and asks you, what should I'm a new investor, what should I buy? What should I get into? I mean, what's that process like for you?
Yeah. So the first thing you want to realize is, where are you on this level here? So are you coming to auction with at least $75,000 in cash? If you are, then probably the least, what I would say, stressful and the easiest way in is just to buy at auction. You can even go to the house ahead of time and knock on the door just to see if it's vacant or occupied and see what the condition is. And if the owner's there, just, you can make them an offer. It's easy to do. They can always say no. But just to buy at auction and just be prepared to buy at auction. Now, if you're coming at it with less than that, there's other things you can do. There's auction financing to buy foreclosure lists, to buy foreclosures, which we have. You can buy tax sales, which often are much less expensive. And you can approach the homeowners before the sale and lock up a wholesale deal or close on it yourself if you have financing. And besides that, if you're not going to buy at auction, if you're just not in that pool of people that have that much money in cash, you can go after other distress leads like post-bankruptcy alert, the sheriff's sale, the probate lists, the vacant home leads, the unsold list, and the likely to sell leads. So those are all leads that you would approach. On all of those, except for the sheriff's list, there's no sale that's going to happen. These homes are not for sale and they will not be auctioned off at any time. But you know that the homeowner is probably seeking some sort of a financial cash out option for their problem, which is a financial, which they might have a house which has equity, which could solve their problem. And so with all those other ones, there's not going to be like a sale at the end. There's no post-bankruptcy alert sale. There's no probate sale at the end. These are just people who have a problem, and you can approach them and see if, maybe selling their home could be a solution for that problem.
That is a great synopsis of that. We'll dive into kind of the next slide, which is really identifying the opportunity. And Jack, I'll let you take over this one and start just talking about, identifying the opportunity, finding those deals. Let's just say, I mean, there's all sorts of lead types, but let's say once you've got your list, what's your process like? I mean, you've done this before, so what are you doing?
Yeah, well, once you have your list, you have to realize that this is a time-sensitive, endeavor that you're doing right now, and so you need to get after it right away. Let's say you're looking at a post-bankruptcy, whatever kind of list you want. You first want to look at, is this a lead I even want as you're filtering these leads? Is this a lead that I can do anything with it? So let's say I don't really want anything that's outside the city on well and septic. I don't know what to do with that kind of stuff. I don't have a buyer for it if I'm a wholesaler. So let's just cross off anything with acreage, or let's just go after things with acreage, but figure out what you want. And then the second thing you're going to realize is this a loan that has enough equity in it that I can make a difference in this person's life? So for example, I usually immediately cross off any loan that's like 1 to 2 years old and is not a conventional loan. So if it's an FHA or a VA or a USDA loan, I know that they don't have enough equity for me to make them a cash offer on the property. They don't even really have enough equity for me to do something fancy like a sub-2 or a seller finance or anything like that, probably. If the list is really small that month, I may approach some of those people and develop long-term relationships for someday when maybe they do have enough equity or maybe they know somebody. But if it's a big list, I'm going to get rid of those right away. Oftentimes, I'll also get rid of anything that has too much equity for me to really fool with. For example, if someone has a home and they owed $200,000 and now they only have $2,000 left on the loan, that's an extreme example. They probably don't need my help. They probably are going to figure out a different solution. So I usually my first cut through the list, I look at things with 50% equity to 20% equity. Right in there is usually where I find I get the most deals. They have enough equity for me to make them an offer, and yet not so much that, they don't need my help. They're just going to figure out something else that's, a better solution for them. So
Awesome. And then I guess obviously there's the finding where you want to invest geographically, right?
Yeah.
So, there's the demographics of the list from the mortgage and how much equity there is, but then also some people only want one particular zip code. And then others will say, okay, Collin County is okay for you. I'll invest all over Collin County. And then some people say, look, North Texas is great. So we've got, and we usually will coach our members to start with a county and then start adding additional counties as they start getting more familiarity with the area and feeling more comfortable.
Yeah, and we do tell people to fish and not hunt, which means you need to have enough lines in the water. If you love Parker County and you just can't get enough of Parker County, but Parker County has 6 foreclosures this month or something like that, which is not unheard of, then you should probably branch out to a secondary county, because it's a numbers game in the end. You need to make offers. You need to get your face in front of people. And if you're just not looking at enough properties because you only like this one zip code is where you want to be at, it's, or this one tight price range, you need to expand your net a little bit, to be more successful.
So we had Casey ask a quick question about just how you buy a property before the auction. So I think it's probably a good time to talk about it. So Casey asked, can you go direct to the buyer after it's been listed to go to auction, or are you required to actually buy it from the trustee or the bank? And we get that question a lot. The answer to that, Casey, is yes. So up until the auction, it is like a normal house. The bank doesn't own it. The bank has the deed of trust, obviously, but the bank is not really in control of that property. You would buy the property directly from the homeowner. The second that sale takes place and the trustee cries the property, then the bank owns it. So, or an investor purchases it. So up until 10 o'clock that day, I don't think you're going to be able to close on a property in 30 minutes, but up until, the day before, or maybe the Friday before, I would approach the homeowner. And then if it gets to the point where it's going to go to sale, then you would buy it directly from the trustee at the auction. And then if it doesn't, if for some reason the bank takes it over, it goes into that REO department. It typically takes depending on the trustee and the bank, it'll take between 15 and 45 days to show up on the REO market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and how would you do it? You knock on the door, you agree to something verbally, and then put it in a contract. That contract can be written by your attorney, or it can be a TREC contract. Just go to the Texas Real Estate Commission website. Even as a non-realtor, you can download their forms, and you can fill it in, and you can take that to a title company, and you're going to close on it and get title insurance, just like a regular old transaction. Try to get it done before the auction date, because if the bank won't play ball and extend it for you, and you have a closing a day after, your contract will be void, in my understanding, if they auction it off on the steps.
Awesome. So, Jack, let's talk more about marketing.
So, the thing you have to realize as a realtor or as an investor, you're no longer in the house buying business. You are to a small extent, but most of what you're doing is marketing. And all the big marketers say that you do need to do what's called a touch, which is just any kind of communication with the seller about 5 to 8 times minimum before they really start to feel like they can trust you and they know you. And so we have some things on the board here of some things that you can easily do. Door knocking, just going up to their door and knocking, and hopefully they answer and you can make your case there. leaving a door hanger. We don't sell those on our website, but you can get some at Vistaprint.com for pretty cheap.
Actually, Jack, we do. So we just launched last week. So if you order a drive for an additional $5, we'll actually leave a door hanger. We can leave a custom door hanger that you've designed on.
If we're doing the drive, we can leave it.
If we're doing the drive,
or a post-it note on the door.
Exactly.
But we don't sell door hangers in bulk.
Gotcha.
Probably. Calling the lead, in my experience for foreclosures, has been really, really more miss than hit, just because a lot of my experience with foreclosures is they're not paying their other bills as well, so that they may be behind on their phone bill, their phones aren't working, or they're just not answering calls from strange numbers because they have creditors calling them. But you can certainly make that effort, and text them would probably get a better response. And as far as postcards go, we do have those available on our site for 60 cents a card. It's an easy one-click process. I'll contact you and say, hey, what do you want your return address to be, in your marketing phone number? And those will get sent out. They'll be in their mailbox within 5 business days. Warm leads, what you really need to be doing this whole time because you're going to be a marketer basically, is you need to have a good CRM. We have one at prophawk.com. But you can use whatever you got, and you need to be taking notes. Okay, I went here on this day. I talked to the daughter. The daughter told me this. Or, I went here on this day. I made this offer. I'm going to follow up on this day. And you need to stick to that and keep following up, because it is a follow-up business. It is a numbers business. And if you start having 100 leads a month, you're going to forget things. You're just going to forget, like, oh yeah, she told me to call on Friday when her husband was back from his oil field job, and they'll discuss the offer then. And you wait till like the next Tuesday to call them. Well, somebody else is going to jump on that lead. Do what you say you're going to do, and that only will work unless you're a savant with good notes. And if you're a savant, that's really cool too.
So let's talk about the process. I mean, kind of going from sending out the marketing, going out and talking to homeowners. When you're talking to a homeowner, what are you looking for? Are you trying to close the deal right then on the phone? Are you trying to set a future appointment? What's that process like for you?
What it boils down to is you're looking for 3 things. You're looking for what we call pain, which is a compelling emotional reason for selling. Not just like, I just want the most money for my house possible, because that's most people, but some other people have other compelling emotional reasons for selling. So you're looking for what that is, what happened. And if you already know you're dealing with a post-bankruptcy or a pre-foreclosure, you kind of already know that there's something going on there. You just have to uncover what that is, what happened. You're looking for who the decision makers are. So if you're talking to somebody and you're doing all this work and building all this rapport, and you're making an offer and they accept it and they love it, and you find out that they're not even on title, like the mother's on title and she doesn't want to sell it to you, or whatever, you just did a lot of work for nothing. So you kind of want to figure out ahead of time who can actually sell you this property, and who else is the decision maker. Sometimes the person on title is not even the decision maker. We've seen that before, where Aunt Rhonda is the one who makes all the decisions for the family, and we're dealing with the homeowners, and we should have had Aunt Rhonda in the conversation the whole time. And then lastly is budget. You want to make sure that they're realistic about their budget. And so you can kind of throw out a ballpark. If their home's worth $200,000 and they want $220 for it, I let them down. I say, hey, we bought some homes in this neighborhood, and we typically a cash offer where I say some benefits where we close quickly and you don't have to do any repairs or pay any closing costs. We're usually around the $90,000 to $130,000 range. And then I say nothing and let them process. One time I sat with a woman for like 7 minutes, and we did end up buying that house where she said nothing, I said nothing, and she was just thinking. Give them that time to process. That's a big difference from what they're thinking. So if you have some pain, and if you have some, if you're talking to the decision makers, and if you can feel that they're going to be realistic on budget, or you've even communicated that, then go ahead and see the house, set the appointment, and hopefully lock up the deal.
Yeah. And what is that? Casey asked a little bit about what it's like to, who do we talk to? Can we buy it from the bank? Do we buy it from the homeowner? But let's say you come to an agreement with the homeowner. What's the next step?
Well, what I do is, okay, so it's $90,000, would that work? And they say, yeah, that'll work. Be like, okay, I've got a contract in my car. Should I pull it out? And they're like, yeah, let's do it, Jack. I'm like, okay, all right, I'll be right back. And then so I go and grab my contract. I bring it in. I usually do a little bit of post-close, some post-close selling where I say, is anybody going to be upset that you sold this property to me for $90,000? And then if they say, yeah, my Aunt Rhonda, and they're like, okay, well, what are you going to tell her? And then they kind of come up with their speech of what they're going to tell Aunt Rhonda. And it kind of like foreshadows what may happen so that they don't ghost you after the transaction.
Yeah.
And then you can also say things like, well, anyway, there's lots of post-closing. You're going to wake up the next day, tonight at 3 a.m. You're going to have cold, clammy hands. It's just called seller's remorse. It's okay. Go back to bed. You'll be all right. We're going to get through this. And so you get them you sign the contract with them, and then you take that contract to a title company, and the title company opens title. And you do want to tell the title company and work with an investment-friendly title company if it's a foreclosure. Hey, this is a foreclosure. This is going to sell at the next courthouse sale. We cannot delay this at all. It needs to get done. So normally there's a realtor involved, and what my friends who are doing these transactions themselves without a realtor for sale by owner stuff is they don't realize realtors are like calling that title company all the time. Hey, did the appraisal get ordered? Hey, did the inspection get ordered? Hey, all these deadlines? Hey, have you cleared title? Like, do we have to order an affidavit of heirship? They're all over these title companies, making sure that the title gets closed on time. And so that has to be you at this point, because it's not going to be the homeowner, probably. And so I would be in contact with the title company at least once a week, hopefully twice a week, making sure that they have everything they need to close on time, and that they're, and even if they say there is, question that. Be like, okay, well, you saw that she was married here before and her husband lived here. What do you need so that does that husband have to sign off? And get all that in writing, because.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jack. So let's talk about, it's kind of in the same realm. I think maybe we skipped it. Probably should have done underwriting the deal before contacting the homeowner and getting something under contract, but it kind of goes hand in hand. Our process is a lot of times we do the quick underwrite, and then we'll go market and talk to homeowners, or try to buy it at the auction, and then we'll do the full. Once we have it under contract, then we're really going to do the full underwriting and make sure that we've got the return that we need, that we've got clear title, that the property's in good condition. And again, this depends on how you're buying it. If you're going to the auction, you're going to need to get a title review. You can go to roddytitle.com. We can give you a title review, or talk to your title attorney or somebody like that. Make sure that you're confident that what you're buying is, the correct thing. You want to drive the property. Obviously, if you're door knocking and you've signed a contract, hopefully you have an idea of what that property condition is. But if you don't, there's things to look for. Obvious problems, or there's structural problems. That really has something to do with what type of construction you can deal with post close or post acquisition. And then we're going to do our deal analysis. So we're going to say, what's our ARV, what's our monthly payments going to be, what's the construction. And then how quickly do you think you can flip that house? A lot of people don't take that holding cost into account when they're purchasing a property. And so they'll say, look, I can buy this property for $100,000. It's worth $150,000 after I'm done with it. But let's just say in Laredo, there's 7 months of inventory in the market. So that you probably are looking at a 3 to 6 month hold time at a traditional market price. So what goes into that holding cost are going to be your interest rates, city taxes, HOA fees. When you flip the property, you're going to have to probably pay HOA doc fees, survey fees, all that stuff. Make sure you know what you're getting into, and make sure you build all of that into the your ARV or your deal analysis before you close on that. And then from all that, you're going to come out with kind of what your maximum bid or maximum purchase price is going to be. Anything else you'd add to that, Jack?
Yeah, I use that too, the holding costs, when I'm making an offer for somebody. If I find somebody that's analytical, that likes numbers, I'll say, look, if you go to sell this on the market, it's going to take, 6% realtor costs, 1% closing costs, let's say just on average, maybe another 1% of concessions, and then 2%. Let's say the market in your area is 90 days on market, and you could figure 90 days on market of your mortgage payments, of making sure the grass is cut, utilities are on, and stuff like that, and the insurance is being paid. Let's say that's about 2% alone. So I could say, even if you sold it, and then let's say $20,000 a rehab. So I said, that person that wanted 220, their house was worth 200,000. I could say, even if you sold it on the MLS and did all the work yourself, this is what your net sheet is going to be. And so that really, like, oh wow, I'm only going to make $140,000 on this property when it's all said and done. Maybe I should just go with Jack's $90,000 offer and just be done with it.
Yeah, that's a great point. So you remind them of, really it's not the market price that everybody else's house in that neighborhood is selling for is not necessarily what they're going to get net. And that, it might be, they might get $5,000 more if they sell it traditionally, but they could be holding that property for another 90 days. Whereas Jack's going to come in and close in 7 days with Roddy's hard money financing, and he's got a title guy that can close really quick. And so reminding them of kind of the benefits of getting this done quickly versus going the traditional route where you've got to go through appraisal and option period and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
John's asking kind of what is the best way and the cheapest way to do a title review. And so, man, I'm glad you asked, John. You go to roddytitle.com. We'll run title review for you. It's typically around $30 to $40 per property. If you do something in bulk, we can get it down to 20. It's going to be the same people that we use to research our own properties before the auction or before we make an offer. They will do, it's the same people that are doing that. They're going to do the title review. They're going to give you a risk analysis and say, hey, like if we were buying this or would we buy this property based on this? So John will talk to you about, are you a new investor? Are you an experienced investor? Based on that, and kind of those parameters, we would or we would not buy this based on title. Obviously, other ways to do it are going to a title company. Some title companies, if you've got a connection with the title agent or the title attorney, they will run some title for you for free, or you can pay a couple $1,000s for a title opinion, I guess. And then obviously an attorney, or you could do it yourself. So we have videos on. Actually, in our video vault, if you go to foreclosure.info and you go up to the video vault, we actually have a video talking about how to research title yourself. So if you're the kind of person that wants to do it yourself, it's great, and we've got resources for you to learn how to do that. It's just want to make sure that if you're doing the title research yourself, you really understand what you're doing, because the risk of buying the wrong property at the auction, or the wrong mortgage or something that has clout on title could kind of be devastating especially to a new investor. So anything else on underwriting the deal, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, just you can look at other homes, and if you're wondering about foundation damage and you can't get into the property or get too close because of a dog or the neighbors are on their front porch with a gun, you can look at other homes in the neighborhood, see if there's obvious repair work that's been done. You can look on the MLS and see if the other homes in that subdivision that were built around the same time on the same type of soil have transferable foundation warranties that have been done. And that could be a good insight to your property probably has foundation problems.
Yeah, that's a good point. Other properties they're built, typically other properties in that neighborhood are all going to be built around the same time frame. A lot of them will have the same layout. It's always, I mean, my favorite thing is when you're underwriting a property and you find a property that's the same exact size and built in the same exact year down the street that sold 30 days ago. You can't have a better comp than something like that. So looking at what those comps look like, and that stuff is super helpful. We talked about PropHawk earlier, and John was actually asking what that website was. So we put it in the comments. If you go to prophawk.com, you can log into PropHawk. It's free. Use your FLS ID and password to get in. We've got some screenshots here just of what we've got. All of your leads are automatically imported in there. We have a CRM for you to use. It's updated, live as we get new data. The cool things that you can see in PropHawk, if you look, we've got obviously the property address. We've got the underwriting progress. So you'll see that some of these properties are already in progress underwriting. We have the status. So we have one thing we haven't talked about is if you are trying to buy at the auction, we give you the ability we'll tell you, hey, this property's been canceled, or the trustee told us here's the opening bid. So we talked to tons of trustees in Texas, and they're providing us with information on how on certain properties. And then we've got all the other data that you have in your pre-foreclosure list. The cool thing is it's all there. It's all consolidated. There's a map. You can take notes. If you look at this screenshot here, this is where I've clicked on a property. I can actually determine my maximum bid in here. So I'll say, hey, I think this is worth $200,000. My profit goal is 15%. And so in my construction budget is $10,000. So my maximum purchase bid would be, in the $160,000 range. So it gives you the ability to do that. We also have a lot of other data that comes in there. We're adding new stuff every day. This is also where you can order drives. You can order title review. You can order pictures, all sorts of stuff. So PropHawk, it's a free resource right now. It's what we use to underwrite our properties. It's what we use to manage our marketing processes. So I'd really encourage people to go take advantage of that free resource. All right. So kind of wrapping up and just we've talked a lot about different ways to buy properties, different, things to look for. Just want to reemphasize that we've got a lot of different resources for you. First off, we want to help you succeed. We, Jack and I get a lot of pleasure out of helping our members be successful in real estate investing. So anytime you have a question, it doesn't have to be about something that's on the list. You can call Jack up, call me up, or Paul up, or anybody on our team, and just talk to us about the real estate investing process and any questions that you have. So, but what we've got and what we can provide here at Roddy's is we can provide leads. We can provide underwriting. So we've talked a lot about title review and drives and deal analysis. If you want us to do it for you, we will, right? We've got experts on our staff that's all they do. All they do is look at title. All they do is drive properties. All they do is analyze deals. So probably if you're looking at our list, we've probably done the analysis. We've probably already driven it. So we've got a good idea, and we can quickly provide you with that information that you need. Jack mentioned earlier that we've got postcards, and we can offer voicemails. If you want to order postcards, you do that through PropHawk as well. We can also put door hangers or sticky notes on doors. Just this month, we launched an auction financing, or a kind of a traditional hard money program. So if you're interested in being able to purchase properties at the auction with 20% down, we can provide that as well. We also have bidding, eviction, and construction services. So it's all Aaron and I have built up a process and systems and teams to buy properties. And what we're trying to do is offer that to you guys. So it's going to be the same people, the same teams that we've used in the past to buy properties. And we've got that resource for you as well. So anything else, Jack, that we're missing?
No, I don't think so. And if there's something else too, by the way, if you guys are like, man, I really love Roddy's, but I wish that they would bid for me at a tax sale or something like that, just tell us what you're looking for. And we probably either have a service for it, or B, will create a service for it. So
that is a really good point. Yeah, we want to help you guys be successful. If there's something that we don't have that's not in our tool belt that we can provide for you, we want to add it to it. So we've got a question in from John about really what our title review looks like. Does IRS liens, do they show up on our title reviews? Yes. So we're specifically looking. We're going to look for title IRS liens. We're going to look for judgments. We're going to look for any kind of HOA liens as well. So it's not just going to be, hey, you're buying the first mortgage. It might say, hey, you're buying the first mortgage, and there's a second mortgage that we expect to be wiped out as a result of the foreclosure sale. and there's a judgment, so you want to be aware of that. And there's an IRS. So we're going to give you the history of that property.
Great. Yeah, and if you have questions later, you can call us 972-250-0993.
Yep, I'll put it in the comments as well.
And you can come on our website, which is the number 4, the word closure.info. That's foreclosure.info, and go on the chat. Any questions that you have at all? And if you just want to see what a list looks like, we have a past list up on our website under free sample. So just click that free sample now, and you could see the headers and the categories that we have on some of our past lists. That'll be a sample of the foreclosure list and of the post-bankruptcy list and the sheriff's list. So all 3 kind of come in that.
Yep. And then if you're watching this after we're live and you have other way to ask us questions, is put it in the comments below. Jack and myself are monitoring that all the time. We get lots of alerts, and so we'll definitely answer that there. So I think that's all we've got. Only 5 minutes over, so we appreciate everybody joining us today. Again, if you have questions, let us know, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Thanks, Kurt.
Thanks, guys.